Hello, race fans, and welcome to the penultimate round of the regular season for the Elite Old Testament Firearms Truck Series here on the Elite Racing Network. Coming to you live from the virtual Charlotte Motor Speedway, I'm Zach Evans alongside defending EliteJoinAPS.com Cup Series champion Gerald Campbell as we get ready to bring you round 7 of the Old Testament Firearms Truck Series. Gerald, Charlotte, it's a track that probably all these guys, I mean, especially in iRacing circles, you start turning laps here from the moment you jump into rookie street stocks, right? Everybody knows the book on how to get around this place. What's it going to take to separate yourself and be a winner here tonight?
Yeah, speaking of this track, I mean, this is what I imagine a mile and a half is this track right here. It's high banked, and you got your straightaways here. And then the trucks, there's going to be some drafting a little bit in the early stages. You're going to see groups of cars start to separate themselves, and you see packs for a short amount of time until the tires start to wear. As far as what the drivers are looking to do out there, it's finally a track that most of these drivers probably feel rather comfortable at after going to the Chicago street course and some of these other tracks, a dirt track. We've thrown everything at these drivers. We're finally going to something that most of them have probably turned a few laps into. So you're going to have drivers probably feel more comfortable than they have in the last few, and a lot of them are going to need that because it's starting to come towards crunch time with the chase just a couple races away from concluding. So yeah, we're going to see if anyone's got any last hurrahs to try to win their way in or get a little bit more comfortable on points. So we're going to see all sorts of storylines tonight.
Definitely very interesting to look at the point situation. 2 races left, including this one in the regular season. The driver we're looking at right now, Scott Crump, one of the guys locked in with a win and the current points leader. Chad Thornquist also has a win. Jared Rexing, the winner at Bristol, and of course Tom Bourne locked in with his win at Daytona to start the season. Outside of those guys, it's a very tight battle for the cutoff to make the playoffs right now.
Yeah, it's not, when those wins come in, that automatically just eliminates a spot for some of these guys that are trying to go points racing to get their way in. But that left a lot of room. But and the other side of it is, like you just stated, there's a ton of cars right there on the cutoff line. First man out right now is Brent Jones. Actually, Harrison Talon is, I believe, actually tied. They're like 2 points away, actually. Brent Jones, Harrison Talon. And in between those, there's 3 drivers in front and back that are all just a few points out. So with 2 races to come on for the end of this season, it's getting really tight. So like I stated, it's going to be a lot of storylines that we're going to have to try to follow to find out who's coming and who's going.
Definitely a lot to follow over the course of tonight's race. 150 miles, 100 laps. Of course, with the truck series, there is the stage format. First stage will take us to lap 25. Second stage gets us to the halfway mark, lap 50. After that, 50 laps to the finish to see who will take home the win in tonight's race. Right now, looks like Trey Holmes holding the pole for now with a few seconds remaining in this qualifying session. After that, we've got Tate Lytle and Joshua Personette looking to start near the front of the field. If I'm not mistaken, should Trey Holmes hold on to this, and it looks like he will, it will be his first pole of the season here in the Old Testament Firearms Truck Series.
Yeah, qualifying in these trucks is all about who can stay on the throttle the longest. It's just about wide open, and in 1 and 2, you're almost all wide open, and then 3 and 4 is the sketchy part. If you can get the throttle down longer than anybody else, that's probably what's going to get you on the front. As Trey Holmes has absolutely wrapped up the pole for the first time, so congratulations to Trey Holmes.
Absolutely, congratulations to him. We will take a look here at our starting grid. On the front row, Trey Holmes, Tate Lytle. That'll be your front row to start tonight's race. Row number 2, Joshua Personette will start third. Shane Terrian joining him on row number 2. Starting 5th, Harrison Talon One of those drivers we mentioned in the cutoff chase, Jared Rexing, starting 6th. You have Michael Hosick starting 7th. Alec Ballvans in 8th. Corey Abbott 9th. Michael Goodman rounding out the top 10. Tom Bourne 11th. Dustin Dewar 12th. Josh Hodges lining up 13th with Hunter Firestone joining him on row 7. Scott Crump 15th. Tyler Dixon 16th. Bronson Stafford lining up 17th. Daniel Martinez in 18th. Hunter Smith 19th. Ryan Barbieri in 20th. Brent Jones 21st. Alex Gray 22nd. Mark Keeler 23rd. Sam Boutwell 24th. Sean Ryan 25th. Dylan Jones in 26th. And then Chad Thornquist showing in 27th. That's where our grid graphic cuts off, but we do have a few more drivers that did not set time in qualifying. They'll be lining up behind Chad Thornquist. Those are Wyatt Nadel, Kendall Noah player, Anthony Ludi, and Kyle Walgren. So that is how they will line up for tonight's 150-mile event here at Charlotte Motor Speedway, as we see Trey Holmes and the rest of the field rolling off the grid here at Charlotte behind the iRacing Pace vehicle.
Yeah, I've always liked how Charlotte has it, where you start off on the front stretch like that, because that reminds me back in real life racing, whenever we would line up there. That's where we'd do a lot of driver intros and driver signings for hero cards for the race. So it always brings back memories for me. But we're gonna have a quick turnaround, as they're gonna come this time around to take the green. Our stages are gonna be 25 and 50 in this 100-lap event. So it's no tire saving. 25 laps, that's, you're going to get tires at the end of the stage. And a lot of these guys are looking at those stage points very, they're eyeing them. They want them. So I'm going to guess we're probably going to have some hard racing right from the beginning here. So we're going to see, like I said, who's capable of being able to stay on the throttle the longest here.
You mentioned those stage points. Compared to the other two series here in Elite and the NASCAR circles, that's one of the things that makes this truck series unique. The stages with the stage breaks, the stage points, definitely will add a wrinkle for these drivers trying to make the playoff. iRacing Pace vehicle makes the hard left-hand turn on the pit road. Trey Holmes leading the field to green as we get underway here at Charlotte.
Oh, bad start for Shane Therian. He is going to lose a couple positions, as looks like the 10 of Jared Rexing is going to be able to get underneath him.
And around the outside is going to be Tate Lytle taking the lead here off of turn number 2, and that day's gone by, number 56.
Yeah, Tate's not running for points. He's just here for victories, so very good start for him. Obviously, we're seeing the high line working pretty well, but one driver to keep note of is Jared Rexing. He started back in 6th, and he's already up to 3rd there.
Definitely a strong start for Jared Rexing in that Nesquik number 10. Staying right there. As you mentioned in the intro, I definitely think you're seeing a lot of guys really utilize that draft, and now you're going to see a little bit of a slingshot here even from Jared Rexing. Dives underneath Harrison Talon to take that 2nd spot.
Yeah, we're starting to see it start to spread out a little bit from the guys that are going hard, but Jared Rexing's going to look underneath Tate Lytle there. He's going to try to get the lead going into turn 1 here. And he's just about cleared it. Tate Lytle's taking the high line advantage there and trying to pull more of a throttle tactic going into it. But new leader, the 10 car.
When we went to Texas earlier this season, we saw a lot of guys throwing blocks, especially on the back stretch at that track. Do you think it'll be similar tonight, or do you think that there's a little bit more? Well, there's definitely more racing room here at Charlotte than there is on the reconfigured Texas. Does that kind of change how that plays out?
Yeah, Texas is a little different, because if you just block the bottom, you can be able to somewhat just keep your lead, and that's what we saw when Chad Frankenfield had led that race. Very difficult to get around him. Here, it's a lot more wide open, a lot more racing grooves. You're seeing them race on the bottom right now just because they're evened up. But if you can get to the outside and kind of hug them down, there's a lot of draft and a lot of a lot of air wake that these trucks produce, and it allows you to be able to get a good run on them. So I predict it's going to be a lot of passing. It's not going to be quite like Daytona drafting, but it's going to be very difficult to separate yourself from the rest of the drivers.
Saw Tate Lytle there kind of peeking around a little bit, seeing if he could maybe get a run here on Jared Rexing, and now he's again looking to the inside. He might actually have a lane here as they go into turn one. Definitely going to be a battle for the lead. This time it's Tate Lytle on the bottom, Jared Rexing up top as they go side by side through turn two.
And then just as my point there, Jared Rexing, if this was Texas, Jared Rexing had already been like 5 car lengths behind Tate at this point. That outside lane here is a lot more viable. So you're seeing Jared Rexing be able to just kind of roll the outside, and I predict as the run goes on and the tires start to wear out, you're going to see more people start to have different kinds of lines and what they feel best for their truck.
It definitely adds another layer to the racing here as we do see Tate Lytle back into top spot, but Jared Rexing got to fight right back.
Great racing early on here, just showcasing the truck's ability here at this track. I think this track and car combination just fits really well with each other. As you can see, just a good side-by-side action for the lead.
And those battles for the lead have allowed some of these other drivers like Harrison Talon, Joshua Personette, Trey Holmes to close right back up. We also see Shane Terrian there looming in the background. This could get really interesting if those guys are able to continue sucking up to these top 2 drivers and add their hats into the ring.
Oh yeah, I mean when you get side by side, that just is more air wake being moved out of the way for you to be able to suck up to. And you see the 51 just able to just come right up onto them. Like I said, it's only a 25 lap shootout, so I mean, I'm gonna probably predict the top 8 here are not saving a thing. They're probably going pretty hard. Definitely Jared Rexing. We saw him at Bristol when he was able to pass Chad Frankenfield, just how aggressive he can be. Yeah, he's one of those that is not afraid to go really hard and race very tightly with you. So I'm not surprised he's up there. Tate Lytle's got nothing to lose. I'm not surprised he's going forward as well. It's checkers or records for him in his case. But one driver, I mean, right there on the cutoff line I mentioned earlier is the 51. I mean, he is only 2 points above the cutoff line. Surprised that he's not trying to be a little bit more careful, but I mean, this is the best way to get points is right up here for the stage-ins.
I mean, you talk about just for this first stage alone, if he stays right there in third, that's 8 points in that valuable, crucial battle for those final chase playoff spots. Have to imagine he's going to want to get as many of those as possible here in the first 2 stages of the race.
Oh yeah, absolutely. One guy coming up is the pole sitter. He had dropped back, and now he's battling for 4th. Looks like he's going to be trying to get the position on the 18 truck here.
Yep, Trey Holmes on the inside in the 88, Joshua Personette in the 18 on the outside with Shane Terrian in that white and green 38. Watching and waiting and seeing who will get the advantage in this battle so he can try to follow them on through into the top 5.
Yeah, a name that we don't talk much, Joshua Personette, just announced he's going to be racing next year full-time in the truck, so he's trying to get a little bit of advantage with this team now, and he's showing off pretty well. Ooh, he got really close to the wall there. I don't know if the looseness is starting to come out of it, but he had a great qualifying effort at 3rd, so running up here in the front, just trying to get his touch and feel go for the trucks for him to try to make a run for it next year.
It's always exciting. I mean, this time of year you start hearing even in the virtual world, even in Elite, you start hearing the rumors and the silly season talk, who's going to be driving for who and who's going to jump up a series, down a series, take some time off, get back, maybe come back from some time away. Always exciting to see announcements like the one with Joshua Personette planning to go full-time again in 2022.
Yeah, one thing we're noticing, it is starting to spread out. Again, draft plays such an effect here. makes you wonder if you get a certain amount of car links back, is it kind of like Daytona where you lose the draft? I'm not sure how much the draft really speeds these trucks up or not. If you get too far back from a driver, do they just leave you? We're gonna figure all these out tonight. But right now, I mean, two top drivers have been up front the whole time and have not slowed down, and they're starting to build a gap now.
I do wonder if maybe we saw Joshua Personette get really squirrely there off of turn 2. Let's drop back and look at this. Now he's on the bottom in a side-by-side battle with Shane Terrian in that 38. Got really out of shape there off of turn 2. And now he's going to have Tom Bourne pulling to the outside. So Personette dropping back a little bit. And hey, there's Scott Crump. Remember, he qualified about 15th, our points leader here in the Old Testament Firearms Truck Series. But he's slowly but surely working his way back towards the front of the field and putting himself in a position to get some stage points. Of course, he has a win to his credit. He doesn't need the points as much, but anytime you can continue to flex your muscle, it's a good thing.
Yeah, but we're finally starting to see it starting to spread out. The tires are wearing. There's now multiple grooves. You know, as you say, Scott Crump, he's not afraid of any challenge. He's not afraid of a fight, so it's not surprising he's working his way up there fairly quickly, and he's going to try to get that outside lane moving for him. Again, these tires are starting to wear out. You know, it just depends on, where your truck is feeling, if the top side or bottom lane. It almost, as you see here, it's almost like a train effect. You know, one group of drivers start to hook up on one lane, it's going to start leaving the other lane out to dry.
Yeah, it looks like right now Tom Bourne may just be a little bit bottled up right now behind Harrison Talon in the 51. That bottom lane getting a little bit of a run with Shane Terrian leading Scott Crump and Joshua Personette. Personette now jumping to the top, but at the same time we see Shane Terrian jump up to the outside after clearing Harrison Talon. That leaves Scott Crump all alone on the bottom for at least temporarily. We'll see if that gives him some clean air to move up or if that hangs him out to dry.
All this fighting fourth on back that you see here, they have lost about 2.5 seconds from the leaders. So you see what the side-by-side action is. Oh, and Scott Crump almost did a little tail whip on the 51 of Harrison. He didn't need that. He doesn't need that right now. He's trying to go for points here and trying to get his way in. So I think Harrison's going to try to just find a line to survive in at this point.
And that's got to be such a tough battle behind the wheel of that 51 because, like we mentioned, he's one of those drivers on the cutoff. You know, any point you can get here could be the difference between making or missing the playoffs come a couple of races' time, but at the same time, you can't risk throwing everything away and ending up in the wall or something and coming out of this with a complete dud.
Yeah, you're correct. Again, some points are better than no points at this point. You know, he's only 2 points above the cutoff line, and right now he is above just about every single driver that he needs to be above, but as Corey Abbott gets around him and drops him, I believe, back down to 9th, you know, he's going to have to, at some point, though, stop the bleeding because we still have 5 more laps until the end of the stage. He's going to need to stay in at least some points gaining position here.
And as you say that, we see Bronson Stafford, the 10th place truck, pull to the outside of Harrison Talon. It's the top 10 that receive stage points. So if Bronson Stafford and then Dustin Dewar, one of those other drivers behind them, are able to get by, that will be the coup de grace on Harrison Talon's chance of getting stage points. And there we do see Dustin Dewar in that pink memory lanes bowling number 32 pull around the outside of Harrison Talon to move into the 10th position.
Looks like now Jared Rexing at the front has passed Tate Lytle, and it's starting to get a little bit of a gap. So right now, the advantage goes to the 10 as he's going to pull away a little bit here and possibly wrap up this end here. But driver that came back from about a second and a half was Trey Holmes, our pole sitter, who backed off at the beginning of the race. Maybe he saved a couple of tires there, a couple laps of grip, and is now taking a charge to try to gain a couple more positions near the end of this stage.
I hesitate to say this with some of my fortune, shall we say, in the commentary booth, but this has been a really impressive performance so far for Trey Holmes. He's definitely had some some flashes of brilliance this season across Elite. A little bit of inconsistencies here and there, and definitely some bad luck. You'll have that in racing, but this is a really strong showing for him to start this race.
Yeah, maybe we can go back to 12th place battle. Is they're 3 wide back here. This is where the action right now is. These guys have not sorted it out. A lot of these drivers are the ones that are on the cutoff. So this is the dangerous part right here. Is it looks like the 44 of Goodman's on the outside there. They were just 3 wide for a second ago. Everywhere else, it seemed to have kind of spaced out a little bit. But I believe we just reached lap 25, so this will be the end of the stage.
Yep, we should be getting the stage caution here, I guess, at the conclusion of this lap. It'll be Jared Rexing coming off turn 4 and receiving the signal here after winning the first stage. Tate Lytle second, Trey Holmes third. Shane Terrian ahead of Scott Crump. Tom Bourne in 6th, Joshua Personette 7th, Ross Stafford 8th, as we do see the caution come out. Corey Abbott 9th, Dustin Dewar in 10th, and Harrison Talon 11th. Hunter Firestone coming away with 12th, ahead of Ryan Barbieri in that heated battle we were watching unfold. And have to imagine, okay, just for those not familiar, the teams tonight have 3 sets of tires waiting for them in the pits. Have to imagine what we'll see here is everybody come down pit road under this caution for the stage break, use one of those sets, come back in 25 laps time on lap 50 when the stage caution occurs again, grab a set of tires then, and then that leaves you with a set for the final stage, should you need it.
Oh yeah, they're definitely coming in. They were nearly 2 seconds off their qualifying time, so just in 25 laps, 2 seconds drop off is pretty hefty. So yeah, I don't think anyone's going to want to risk staying out at this juncture.
Oh, I can't imagine anybody will take that chance, but we've been wrong before, so.
True. Yeah, true. You never know who wants to lead a lap. So we may have a couple takers, but I don't think the top 10 are going to risk that.
We do see the leaders all come down pit road here. Yeah, it looks like pretty much everybody is going to take this opportunity to grab 4 tires, fuel up. We'll see who wins the race off pit road.
Yeah, we're racing the circle track tonight, but as you stated to me earlier in the day, they're going to have to do a lot of changes to this track because tomorrow night we're going to be racing the road course in the B car for Elite, as going from circle track to road course racing in just overnight status.
Yes, the SMRI Productions Grand National Series going road course racing tomorrow night right here on the Elite Racing Network. Running the Roval here at Charlotte, as we saw Jared Rexing win the race off of pit road. So he will remain the leader. Tate Lytle second, Trey Holmes third, Shane Terrian fourth, Scott Crump fifth. Do want to take a quick moment here while we are under caution to thank one of our premier partners here in the Elite Racing League, Response Energy. Response brings together form, function, and flavor in a great tasting, lightly carbonated energy drink without the lousy aftertaste associated with most drinks in the category. Specially formulated with a proprietary blend of caffeine, complex vitamins, and taurine, Response delivers a concentrated boost of focused energy without giving you the jitters. So thank you, Response Energy, for being one of the premier partners here in Elite Racing League.
Are you feeling confident about road course racing tomorrow?
I'm never confident about going road course racing. I will admit, I was a little bummed for those who watched Wednesday night. Of course, the Elite JoinAPS.com Cup Series was at Sonoma. I had put in some practice before I ended up getting the last-minute call to jump into the broadcast booth for that one. And based on my practice times, I probably had a top 10, top 15 car for that one. But I would have still needed to actually stay on track for 63 laps or whatever it was. I feel like that would have been my undoing.
I'd rather not remember Sonoma.
It was
To
not a
be
good
honest.
night for you, Gerald. It was not a good
No,
night.
I
For you.
had a 12th place finish, but I just not a big Sonoma guy. Just not big Sonoma. I'll go for the wine, but not the racetrack.
Well,
That's just me.
priorities are priorities. So.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. But one thing tonight, though, is it's been good racing. This has been very good racing. We've seen, as I predicted, it was going to be kind of spaced out after a while. But for the immediate short race, it looks like the draft was a big part of it, as far as the drivers starting to group up together, the ones that would go harder to begin with. I didn't really see a lot of comers and goers as much as I saw just the handling of trucks just changed how they raced the line. Some raced the bottom, some were more comfortable up at the top line. I would predict that's just for how hard they were pushing the car, depending on how they were wearing the tires. But overall, I mean, the first 5-10 laps there, it's a whoever can get the run to be able to make the move on the bottom seemed to be the appropriate way to get the lead here early on. So now that we got them all lined back up to go green next time by, we'll be interested to see if someone was just waiting in the wind, or if they're gonna try to go for this next stage and maybe win the second stage here.
Definitely, I think a lot of guys learned some lessons in that first stage. How hard can you push the tires over the course of 25 laps? How much do you need to keep in the tank to push for those final few laps? Granted, you do lose a few laps this stage, running off the caution laps here. It'll only be about 19-20 laps run here, but still, definitely some valuable data to take away from that first stage.
Yeah, absolutely. Like you said, I mean, it was a 2-second drop-off. I'm sure that was an eye-opener to some drivers that maybe weren't aware how much the tires were going to drop off and how slow the pace would drop to and how spread out it got. We saw how much the draft meant, so it's going to be interesting to see if someone's going to try anything different from what their original Stage 1 efforts were. So we're just going to have to figure it out. We'll know by the end of Stage 2 who's going to be a top contender here.
All right, pace truck down pit road. Jared Rexing on the gas. We are back underway here for Stage 2 at Charlotte.
Yeah, Tate Lytle's going to be able to clear for second. He's going to be able to go down. Looks like maybe even it looks like Shane Therian might be able to clear Trey Holmes, and he does. So now we've got them all lined up on the bottom for good all the way back to 9th place. And interesting to see who's going to be able to get the run on the driver in front.
Oh, this is getting dicey here. Just ahead, there's Tom Bourne, Scott Crump, Boston Stafford, all battling hard right off the bat here.
Yeah, I'm not sure what happened to Scott Crump there. If he had a bad pit stall or bad pits, he definitely dropped back a little bit, so he's going to have to try to work his way back up again.
Well, back up to 6 already. Definitely picking up some spots here on the restart. Back up front, Shane Therian trying to size up Tate Lytle for that second spot. Therian, one of those guys that definitely trying to get as many points as he can here.
I would have been I would have lost some money if you told me this time this year that Shane Therian had not won a race yet. He's been close. He's right now 3rd in points and will probably take over 2nd in place in points due to Chad Thornquist dropping out early today. But he's always a front contender. He's just never been able to get it completed here. But it'd be interesting to see, is this going to be the night for him?
You know, one interesting thing, this is the 7th race of the season for the Old Testament Firearms Truck Series. I think it's a testament to just how competitive this series is. Nobody has more than 4 top 10 finishes in this series. And that the only person with 4 top 10 finishes is the man we've got on screen right now, Scott Crump, in the number 90. Everybody else, 3 or fewer. I mean, I think that really shows just how many guys can run up front and battle for wins in this series.
Yeah, that, and just due to the sheer amount of indifferent tracks, how crazy the schedule has actually been. We've seen dirt tracks, we've seen street courses, we've seen, super speedways, we've seen it all, and I think that just kind of throws a wrench into a lot of these guys as far as what some of them are better at than others, and obviously shows in points from, eighth on back to literally the cutoff line. Total of 6 drivers separated by 6 points to the cutoff line. So I mean, that just kind of shows you how difficult this actually is. But one thing we're seeing now is it looks like Tate Lytle's he's trying to get that bottom working on. We're trying different lines. It looks like he was down low in 1 and 2, and now he's falling in behind Jared Rexing and trying to get that draft to be able to maybe put a nose underneath him.
He hasn't quite thrown the kitchen sink yet at Jared Rexing, but I definitely think he's starting to loosen some pipes to make that a possibility.
Yeah, the bumper hasn't been used yet, so he hasn't thrown everything at him just yet, but he is right there close to it.
Side by side now as Tate Lytle's going to look inside Jared Rexing. We'll see if Rexing can get the run off of turn 4. Nope, they're going to stay side by side here, going through the tri-oval as this battle for the lead on lap 38 of 100 here at Charlotte in the Old Testament Firearms Truck Series. And again, we're going to see with these guys run side by side, if they can't get sorted out, we're going to see Shane Terrian into 38, Trey Holmes in the 88, all starting to just close in on them and see if they can stick their nose into this fight.
Yeah, one guy that's really hoping that they battle more is Scott Crump. He's now worked his way up to 5th, and he's trying to gain back up on him again. It's kind of draft mentality. You have to be able to get into the wake of the other driver to really be able to gain up some speed. These guys are all very consistent in speed times as far as when they're all evened out, but this side-by-side battle's been going on for about 3 or 4 laps now, and I can't tell if the bottom line or the top line is really the advantage. It's just it depends on who can keep their gas pedal down.
That's been really fun to watch, I'm not gonna lie. Usually it's pretty clear over the course of these long runs which line is the preferred one, but it's been pretty even for the most part through this race so far.
Yeah, it truly has. I mean, Tate Lytle's been high and low on Jared Rexing. As he gets another run underneath him again. He's getting the runs, but with Jared Rexing on that outside, he's just got the momentum to just clear him corner off and able to just get back up in front of him, as he does once again right here. But what that's done is, we had stated earlier, and now has shown, the other drivers are now there.
Yep, Shane Terrian right there in the number 38, Trey Holmes right behind him in the 88, Scott Crump in the 90. Now they're all just about nose to tail, and we do see Tate Lytle settle in behind Jared Rexing. I wonder if we're going to see them settle in and try to break away again for a few laps and then go at it again right before the stage break. But for now, at least, those 3rd, 4th, 5th place trucks have been able to catch right back up.
And when they do line up, I mean, they do take off. It looks like at least a truck length almost every lap that they're able to get away from those guys behind them when they actually are cooperating and pushing each other away from them. But it's just, I mean, they're obviously the top 2 drivers right now. It's from, as far as we can see from the entire race. Again, we haven't seen what the tire wear looks like, but it definitely looks like on the early run these 2 drivers are the ones to go for.
Trey Holmes showing a nose to Shane Terrian here. That's a battle for 3rd as they go into turn number 1. Side by side for that spot.
Ooh, he's sliding up a little bit.
He washed up the hill a little bit. Yes, he did. And
that's wanting to give more gas than that's probably welcomed for it. But as you see, he's just losing the line on the bottom. I don't know if it's tightness or getting on the throttle too early, but he's trying to get some kind of nose clear of him.
That ultimately does allow Shane Terrian to get away. Now Trey Holmes under pressure from Scott Crump. Crump on the outside. Holmes doesn't wash up the hill as much this time, but it definitely looked like he was being a lot more cautious, and that's going to allow the 90 to get the run down the backstretch and clear for 4th place heading into turn 3.
Yeah, it looks like if you can get that, if you can be able to get onto the outside of the guy, I think you can clear him. That outside momentum is just so strong down the straightaways. Even though it's much easier to get underneath a guy, it looks like the only way to make it easy on yourself to pass him is if you're able to get to the outside of them. But without them trying to pass someone in front of them, it's going to be interesting to see how that's going to be done.
And just that little bit of battling allowed them to open up or I say them, Jared Rexing and Tate Lytle to open up about a half-second advantage over those guys. But now you see Shane Terrian trying to close that gap back up.
Yeah, we got about 5 laps left in this stage. So, again, it doesn't look like anybody really has saved a lot as much as it's just been interesting to see who can be able to pull away and who's able to keep up. And right now, the top two, when they're straightened up with each other, they seem to be able to just get a distance away from the rest of the field here.
Just did see on the timing and scoring monitor Hunter Firestone moving into 10th ahead of Daniel Martinez. That's, again, that last stage point position. Right now, Jared Rexing, Tate Lytle, Shane Terrian, Scott Crump, Trey Holmes, Bronson Stafford, Tom Bourne, Joshua Personette, Ryan Barbieri, and Hunter Firestone, your top 10.
Yeah, you mentioned some of those guys really looking to get some points. Ryan Barbieri is one of those. He's needing it. He's only a few points above the cutoff line. So good state ins for them if they can get those extra crucial bonus points there.
Right now, Hunter Firestone, probably the one he's got to really keep an eye on here is Harrison Talon again in that 11th spot. Looks like maybe some lessons learned from that first stage, doing the charging instead of the getting charged here to close out stage 2.
Yeah, it's a lot more fun if you can believe it or not. if you got some tires left over for the end of the stage, but he's going to be running out of time here. It's about 2 more laps left, and he'd definitely be looking back at this race if he's unable to get any stage points for sure.
Such a strong qualifying effort for Harrison Talon into 51, but so far no stage points in stage 1, and looking about half second he's got to make up in, well, just about a lap at this point if he wants to get anything out of stage 2. Don't think it's going to happen for him as we look again at the front of the field. Jared Rexing once again leading the way to close out a stage. Comes down the back stretch here at Charlotte Motor Speedway. Opened up about 0.6 of a second advantage on Tate Lytle while we were looking away. So should be clear sailing for him coming off turn 3 and 4 to pick up the win in stage 2 as we get ready for the final dash to find out who's going to win the Charlotte 150 here in the Old Testament Firearms Truck Series.
Yeah, we say dash, but it's going to be 50 laps, and I think it's going to be a completely different approach to it for the next 50 laps than we just saw in the last 2 25-lap stages here, because 25 laps and they're down 2 seconds. I can only imagine what 50 laps will do to a set of tires. So I think we might be seeing probably a little difference on how they're going to approach it, but I mean, they're going to have to do something because Jared Rexing is looking stout tonight. Trying to go for his second victory of the year.
Jared Rexing picking up the stage win. Tate Lytle second. Shane Terrian third. Scott Crump fourth. Trey Holmes fifth. Bronson Stafford in sixth. Tom Bourne seventh. Ryan Barbieri in eighth. Joshua Personette ninth. And Hunter Firestone rounding out the top 10. As we see the field catch up to the iRacing pace vehicle. Before the field comes down pit road, I want to take a second to thank C2 Freight. They offer complete freight management services, ready to meet your needs today as well as your changing needs in the future. With thousands of qualified carriers in their database, they're capable of handling shipping for every type of goods, from perishable foods to office equipment. Whatever you need to ship, they have access to the necessary equipment, including flatbeds, double drops, vans, tankers, refrigerated equipment, multi-axle heavy haulers, dump trucks, auto carriers, intermodal containers, and more. So thank you to C2 Freight for being a part of Elite Racing Leagues and the Elite Old Testament Firearms Truck Series. As we watch, again, whole field's going to take this chance to come down pit road, and we'll see who wins the race off.
This might be the money stop. I don't know if they need gas at the end, so might be a Kyle Larson situation. Can your pit crew get you out front and win it, and put you in good position for the end of the stage here, or end of the race? But yeah, it's gonna be. I don't know if they're gonna be good on tires or not for the rest of the race. 50 laps. It's gonna be interesting.
I think Tate got him.
Yeah, Tate did the old Kyle Larson, as we saw today. And may I say, I'm very excited that Kyle Larson won that race. Big Kyle Larson fan. So congratulations to Kyle Larson on a Cup championship.
Man, it's been an okay year for Kyle Larson.
Yeah, pretty all right. I mean, nothing to squab about. But who are you going for in the Final Four there?
You know, there were good storylines to me for all four of the finalists. I mean, starting off with Denny Hamlin, late model stock driver from my neck of the woods. Honestly, watched him race plenty in late models at my home track of Southern National Motorsports Park back when he was cutting his teeth before he got certain phone calls from Joe Gibbs and all of that, and became the driver he is now.
Interesting stat with Denny Hamlin. Did you know he's the first FedEx driver in 15 years to never deliver?
That's cold, man. That's cold. That's harsh.
I had to say that.
Anyway.
It's an interesting stat, but yeah, it's true.
Yeah, maybe see if I were really good and quick on my feet, I'd somehow find a way to make that a C2 freight plug. Like they wouldn't they always deliver. Maybe, I don't know.
I mean,
we'll workshop it. We'll get back
Jeff
to you
Green's
on that.
delivered, and I know they sponsor Jeff Green, and Jeff Green's delivered on a championship, so
he has.
I know C2 Freight is a proud sponsor of someone that can deliver, as their company is probably very inept at doing
that. Well, before we go back to Green, of course you've heard us mention a lot Old Testament Firearms here in the Truck Series. I want to give them a shout out. They pledge to honor God in the provision of quality firearms, accessories, and heart at the best possible value with customer service that goes beyond expectations. Thank you, Old Testament Firearms, for being a part of the Truck Series here in Elite. And also, on that same vein, obviously they've been a sponsor for several seasons here, but we will see a name change for this series next season. Tyler Dixon Smoke Meats. You mentioned the schedule this season in the Elite Truck Series, and if you think it's been fun this year, some of this stuff that's we're not going to call it an official schedule yet. All things are subject to change before 2022A kicks off. But the schedule currently in place for this series next season, if you think this season's been fun, next season's going to be a blast.
Well, I can't wait to see exactly what gets thrown at these drivers. I felt like this season, about everything you can throw at a driver for their type of skill, other than maybe drifting, and some of the races, I would almost predict that it was pretty close to doing that. But I mean, this has been an interesting season. We've seen a lot of different drivers. To be fair, I don't think there's been one single two-time winner yet in the whole series so far. So I mean, that kind of goes towards the diversity of this schedule.
You are absolutely correct. There has not been a two-time winner this season in the Old Testament Firearms Truck Series. Of course, Jared Rexing trying to change that tonight, in a position to pick up his second win of the season. But there's some guys hanging around that would like to, in Scott Crump's case, either take that title away from him, or in the case of Tate Lytle or Shane Terrian, keep that trend alive. So we'll see what happens over the course of these final 45 laps or so as we get ready to go back to Green here at Charlotte. Lights are out.
Interesting thing to find out is if anyone's going to be saving anything, but Tate Lyle's going to be able to lead us off and get a jump, and as he does, he's able to clear himself by a few car lengths there, and it looks like now it's going to be a battle for second. Looks like Shane Therian's going to be able to stay underneath Jared Rexing going into turn 1 and 2. We'll see if they're clear, but right now Scott Crump is deciding to go to the bottom. I thought he was going to go with Jared Rexing on the top, but no, he's going to be able to push Shane Therian, and this is going to put Jared Rexing back a little bit, I think.
It probably about as far as we've seen Jared Rexing go back if he does indeed slip. Oh, Scott Crump goes up the hill a little bit. That's going to allow Jared Rexing to at least stay in the fight here for second. And boy, he got a pretty
we
good
got
run
a caution and a big pile up back to right around the 12th place position there. Looks like someone may have gotten loose there. We'll have to go back and try to see exactly what happened.
Well, we see Wyatt Nadel lodged into the barrels at the end of pit entry. We'll bring up the replay to see how he found himself in that predicament. Oh, it looks like it's going to start actually right about there between him and the 05 Hunter Firestone as we'll pull up the replay here.
Yeah, it looks like a bump that just went real bad and turned him around and
right in front of the field.
Oh, and right in front of the 89. Unfortunate for that's Brent Jones in the 89.
One of those drivers that you mentioned was definitely looking for a strong showing here tonight. We'll go for a little bit of an aerial view for another angle on this replay.
Yeah, Brent Jones was only 2 points out of him, and this is not going to help us. He's going to probably have to go into next week and have to pull off a really strong position. But you're seeing just a bunch of people getting taps here and there, a lot of damage. Oh, someone slid down the pit road sideways there. I don't know if he hit anything.
I did see. We'll have to see who that was.
He does not. Very close. I don't know. I gotta go back and see who that is because they slid down pit road, and I was almost for certain here at Charlotte, the entrance to pit road. There's a wall inside and outside, so kind of threading the needle.
And there's Brent Jones getting a pretty heavy hit there. Trying to see, that might have been, that almost looks like Ryan Barbieri on pit road. I couldn't tell for sure from that angle.
No, it's not Tyler Dixon. Tyler Dixon.
Oh, okay. So let's take a look at what he saw. Yep, you're absolutely correct. As I manipulate the cameras behind the scenes here, we're gonna go on board with him and see what he saw before we.
He did get a little contact there. It was like going in from another driver, kind of. Forcing his guards to go down pit road at that point.
There you see he sees it all unfolding, gets to the apron as safely as he can, but all of a sudden, hello! I think the 05 of Hunter Firestone did just clip his right side, but otherwise did about as well as he could with the situation. Yeah,
saved his night for sure. He could have nosed that into either one of the walls you choose, both inside and outside. So, not the situation to be forced down pit road. This is probably one of the scariest one to go down pit road, other than maybe Indianapolis. But still, it's a good save by him. He's going to have some damage, and unfortunately, with the draft, it's probably still gonna sting and still affect his car. But at least he's going to be able to continue going on as. I believe he is fairly close in points as well.
Definitely a tough break, as you mentioned, for Brent Jones, one of those drivers near the cutoff point. One driver who might have benefited from that, Hunter Smith, he's up to 12th. Also see Sam Boutwell in 15th, a couple of guys who we haven't spoken about a lot tonight, but are also in that cutoff battle. So it appears at least snaking their way through that without certainly too much damage. They didn't come down pit road under this caution period. They might be able to take advantage of this situation if they're able to continue to gain spots over these final 40 laps.
That's going to be interesting now because I was fairly certain if someone was close on fuel, they would have pitted there. But based off of no one pitting, I'm going to guess that probably everyone here is good on fuel to the end. So it's just going to be setting up a late race if you're going to take tires or not. So caution comes out later in the race, which that was, I believe, our first actual physical contact caution other than the stage brakes. So it's been a relatively clean one. Wide open track and multiple grooves will sometimes give you that clean racing that you look forward to. But it's going to be interesting seeing if we're going to have a late race caution to maybe throw a couple things into the wrench of everyone's schedule.
You know, I especially with the first two stages going clean, I'm surprised we didn't see at least a couple maybe not necessarily front runners, but maybe 10th on back, come down pit road and roll the dice, take those tires now, and hope it stays green. Really, about the only guys that it appears came to pit road were guys who were right in the mix of that, probably had damage, but who knows if it wasn't significant damage for maybe like a Michael Goodman or somebody like that, they might be sitting on winning hand right now with the fresh tires.
No, it was only a couple laps green, if anything. So you just don't want to be 40 laps in and then everyone else has new tires, because I'm going to guess you're going to be worse than a sitting cone, because the cone is least off the racetrack. You'd be right in the way of everybody. So I don't know if I would want to put myself in that position either.
It would have definitely been a gamble. So understandable that nobody took that gamble, but at the same time, I'm surprised nobody did. As we go back green, Tate Lytle again with the launch. As Jared Rexing, Shane Terry, and Scott Crump, Trey Holmes, all 2x2 in this battle for second, third, fourth, fifth.
Yeah, it looks like a mirror's image of what happened earlier, as 10's not able to get clear of the 38. 38 stuck underneath him, and the 90's pushing the 10 there, trying to get him clear of the 38. And Tate Lytle starting to get a little bit of a distance.
I'm sure Tate would love to see these guys continue to run side by side in his mirror. Jared Rexing able to clear, and now he's going to say, no, I'd rather not see you walk away. Around the outside, a huge head of steam. To the lead, Jared Rexing.
Yeah, that was a statement right there. Jared Rexing is not giving up tonight, that lead. He wants to lead it all, I think. So, yeah, that was a statement, passing Tate Lytle on the outside. If I was Tate Lytle, I would have been trying to do what Jared Rexing had done all night, and just kind of keep a lane up and keep people behind you and stuck underneath you. The underside is just not able to keep the speed, it looks like, to be able to complete the passes. So that outside line might be the preferred passing lane, at least.
Jared Rexing already out to about a half-second advantage on Tate Lytle. Shane Terrian in third. Scott Crump fourth. Trey Holmes in fifth, with about 37 laps to go here in the Old Testament Firearms Truck Series at Charlotte, the next to last race of the regular season. I mean, it's just going to get more and more intense with each race as we move forward. Obviously, Iowa next week, the site of the incredible finale to the Truck Series last season, and then they go to Las Vegas. Fontana, a track where these trucks are always just on the limit every lap. And of course, Martinsville, we know what kind of drama that venue can create before they go to Atlanta for the finale.
I mean, this is probably a statement right here. Jared Rexing's not saving. Like, he is not saving right now. He's already got out the second lead. Tate Lytle on back. I think all of them are starting to do maybe a partial throttle, saving the tires, trying to get a long run out of it. But Jared Rexing is gone. He has got a sizable gap now between him and the rest of the field. It looks like he is not planning on anything as far as kind of strategy goes. It's just go hard from the get-go. But we got some decent battles back here. It looks like back there around Tom Bourne and Brandon Stafford is trying to get that outside lane going in Barbarelli.
Oh, that got really
real close.
Really close there between the 61 of Bronson Stafford and the 46 of Ryan Barbieri. Barbieri coming away with the 7th spot there. Bronson Stafford's probably going to be under a little bit of pressure here from Tom Bourne, but that's been a really interesting dynamic all season. Those flat-out Racing Network trucks, the 61, the 31, the 38, really strong all throughout the season, but like you hinted at earlier, just the win at Daytona from Tom Bourne to show for it. Really been fun to watch these guys week in and week out, but definitely surprised to not see more of them score trips to victory lane this season.
Yeah, I thought we were going to see domination from them whenever they finished practically 1, 2, 3 at Daytona, but now it looks like finally able to get onto the outside of Ryan Barbarelli, and kind of hoping maybe he doesn't come up this time. maybe we'll be able to get that lane going. Again, that outside lane looks to be the preferred passing lane. the inside's just so hard to keep the momentum going, especially whenever everyone's super filed down the backstretch and lined up against the wall. So it's going to be interesting to see progress in passes made as we got a battle, it looks like, for second, with 3-car battle for second.
There you see, that is Shane Terrian in that other FRN truck on the inside of Tate Lytle. That is for second, with Scott Crump again kind of in that wait and see spot, see which driver can get the advantage and then try to follow them through. And there we see Shane Terrian get the advantage and clear Tate Lytle, but then Lytle able to close the door and keep Scott Crump from doing the old stick the foot in the door trick.
Did I say a second lead? Make that 2 seconds at this point. Jared Rexing has a 2-second lead over these guys. I don't know if they're truly battling or if they're just jockeying for first guy saving or exactly what's going on, but Jared Rexing is at the afterburners. He's got no one in his rearview mirror at this point. I don't know when these guys are going to start going, and I'm sure we'll find out when they do because we'll start seeing it on the track, because I don't think Jared Rexing's going to have much tire if it truly is all the way to the end.
It's going to be very interesting to see how all that plays out, if we see guys duck down pit road at any point, or if it... I feel like this is the race if we stay green. I don't know if we're going to see guys come down pit road or not. Like you say, since nobody topped off for fuel under that caution at the very least, it feels like it might be a race to the end.
Yeah, true. We're seeing Scott Crump starting to pass on the outside of Tate Lytle. Tate Lytle's known for being one of those guys that saves and then just knows when to be able to put the speed on at the end to try to close up the gap. He's battling on the inside of Scott Crump right now, so he's not necessarily giving it to him, but I don't think he's actually pushing the issue either at this point.
Scott Crump currently in the 3rd spot ahead of Tate Lytle, and while those guys have battled, kind of this other battle we've been keeping tabs on has closed in on them. You look at Trey Holmes, Joshua Personette, Bronson Stafford. Those guys have been able to reel them in. There's no reeling in Jared Rexing right now, but from about second on back, it's pretty good racing all the way probably to about 10th or 11th.
Yeah, they're right on top of each other. Again, it's going to be like that until the tires start wearing out a little bit more, and you're going to see passes start to try to be made more often. Right now, I have a strong feeling that most of these guys have seen what stage 1 and stage 2 had done to their tires with a 2-second drop off, and they're probably a little bit more timid to start pushing with it, intimidating 50 lap run to the end. So it's going to be interesting to see when people are actually going to start trying to go for these positions.
Still plenty of jockeying here in the back half of the top 10 as we see Ryan Barbieri get around Tom Bourne for the 9th spot. Man, just so much races. Now we see even further ahead. That's Tate Lytle, Scott Crump again doing battle for that 3rd spot, and they came really close there in turns 1 and 2.
Yeah, I think Tate's decided that he can't wait any longer. I think he's now decided that if you're gonna, he's probably got a lap time he's going off of, and if you're slowing him from that designated lap time, it's probably time for him to pass you. That's probably what his thoughts on the subject are. Is he's now looking low on Scott Crump, and is going to try to attempt a bottom pass, which has been very difficult tonight so far.
It's definitely seemed like, especially as we've gotten longer and longer in this race, I'm sure laying down some rubber on that second groove has helped just really make it where being able to get into throttle just that little bit earlier seems to pay off. But right now, Tate Lytle's making up a little bit of ground on that bottom. We'll see if he can make this work.
Yeah, we've got about maybe 23 more laps left in this race, so it's coming quick. This race is ending fairly quick compared to some of the ones that we've seen in races past. The ticker's going down quicker and quicker, and positions are needing to be made, and blocks are being made as we speak.
And now with that move to the inside by Scott Crump, oh man, look at this race. Trey Holmes all the way down onto the AstroTurf there, going through the tri-oval.
Say passing the grass, but that's not grass anymore. That's AstroTurf. It doesn't do nearly as much to the car as far as offsetting it. It almost feels just like asphalt. So going down there really doesn't do much other than give you an X, which in this series doesn't really do much for you anyhow. So it's fair play, technically, as long as you're not just going, full truck into the AstroTurf to make a position. But if you're going a couple wheels off, you'd be fine.
The only way that could be a real heartbreaker is if you're actually sitting on the 0X before you go through the AstroTurf, since there is the bonus point for keeping a clean slate. But once you've done it one time, then why not?
Yeah, probably. I mean, I wish more tracks had this AstroTurf, even on iRacing. It's a lot nicer because you can keep your truck underneath you, at least whenever you're driving through that, and it won't bounce you up in the air as much. But whoa, it's 46 is a little loose there, trying to figure out how to get around the 61.
This has been a battle raging on and on here in about 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th. That's Bronson Stafford into 61, Ryan Barbieri into 46. Again, they find themselves side by side battling for position. Man, there's been no shortage of excitement with these truckers tonight.
No, it's been a good battle. It's been a good battle for this top, like you said, these top 8 have been pretty much the top 8 that we've seen for the majority of this race. So obviously strong run for most of these guys. 31 is obviously looking to bounce back from his start of the season great, but woes after that as he's dropped through the points. But he's got that all-inclusive wins that will transfer him into the playoffs. So his goal is just to go out and try to get some more wins and more points. So I like to see. Oh my gosh, yeah, that 46 is loose.
He has what we call a handful.
Yeah, handful for sure. As they've now caught up to it, looks like Josh Personette. Now we might have a 4-car battle for that position.
Joshua Personette currently running 6, but right now he's got a mirror full of that 61 of Bronson Stafford, who, oh, by the way, has Ryan Barbieri charging to his inside. Oh, they might have made contact there.
Yeah, that was contact. I believe that if it wasn't, then that was Netco that refused to give them contact. But yeah, that was really close.
Man, this is getting really intense. Yes, definitely. And now a little bit of a run off of turn 2 there for Bronson Stafford. He's trying to find a way around Joshua Personette. Just in case you were wondering up front, Jared Rexing 1.6 second lead over Shane Terrian, who is now in the 2nd spot. Shane Terrian might be eating away at that gap a little bit. We'll keep an eye on that for sure. But it's hard to look away from all this battling here, 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th spot.
Yeah, it's definitely closing up there. It looks like Jared Rexing tires might be on the losing end at this point. But yeah, great racing back here. They finally decided to single file. I think it was mainly to try to catch their breaths and save their trucks. They're all their tires are probably pretty mad right now.
We do look back up at 2nd. There you see Shane Terrian now in that number 2 spot. Tate Lytle still hanging with him right there in 2nd. And together, that might even be a little bit of them working together in the draft to help close the gap on Jared Rexing as well.
I don't know if it's so much for Tate Lytle working with him for the draft, but more importantly, not losing anything trying to battle him for the position, as we've seen how difficult it has been to pass on the bottom. So I think right now, as long as they're moving forward, which is about a 10th a lap, which will end up being on the final lap, if it stays like this, 1/10 the lap, on the final lap, they will have caught Jared Rexing. They may catch up a little bit quicker once they get into the draft of his, but that won't happen for probably a few more lapses. I think Tate Lytle decided it's faster if he gets around him at this point.
Indeed, side by side, Tate Lytle, Shane Terrian for the 2nd spot. I wondered if they were going to work together a little bit and try to close that gap, but now here they are battling, and already we can see on the scoring They lost about 2/10 just in that short little battle, but nonetheless, Tate Lytle up to second on Shane Terry, and we'll see if, now that they're back nose to tail, if they can go back to eating that gap on Jared Rexing.
Yeah, I was going to see if Tate Lytle would have spent a couple laps underneath Shane Terry, and I would have said Jared Rexing has this thing won at that point. But he was able to somewhat quickly be able to make the pass on him. Obviously lost a couple tenths that lap, but this time around they've evened up about the same lap time. So this is going to be the true lap to see if we're going to have a battle here with Tate Lytle and Jared Rexing. It's going to be the lap to see how much was the 38 slowing up to 56, if he's going to be able to have now the speed to go up there and battle for the win.
Jared Rexing continuing to show the way. A little bit loose off turn 4 there, right as we cut to him, but definitely holding a healthy advantage at the moment over Tate Lytle and Shane Terrian. Scott Crump 4th, Trey Holmes 5th, as we're down to about 11 laps to go here in the Old Testament Firearms Truck Series at Charlotte.
That lap they ran about the same lap time. So far it looks like Jared Rexing run as hard as you can and high. Has worked out so far in his favor, but it's going to be interesting to see if his tires fall off any more than it has, or if he's able to somewhat protect his gap as they continuously run almost the exact same times.
Yeah, that time by it was a 32.199 for Jared Rexing and a 32.137 for Tate Lytle. Lytle was a little bit quicker, but definitely needs to pick up a lot more than that if he's going to close this 1.6 second gap.
Yeah, it's definitely, it's going to be between those two, if anybody. But Jared Rexing, just strong run all night. Yeah, it doesn't look like he's going to be caught at this point. He's got such a big gap, and he's able to kind of just control the ebb and flow of the ticker to his advantage. But overall, good race for him. He might be our first two-time winner tonight.
Certainly hopes that will be the case. The driver of the number 10 Nesquik Chevrolet leading the way inside of 10 laps to go here at Charlotte.
Overall, though, our top 10, we've definitely got some interesting drivers that needed to have a good run. You know, Joshua Personette getting a good feel of the car, is right now running in 7th. I'm sure he's plenty happy with that. He's got Ryan Barbarelli right behind him. I know he was right on the edge of getting in. He's in 8th in points right now, and a total of about maybe 9 points in at this point. But he's right there trying to tick off one more position over Joshua Personette, another good one, Tom Bourne, and Harrison Talon. He wasn't able to get top 10 in the first or the second stage, but so far he's in 10th place right now, and definitely something that he's going to be satisfied, I think, with at the end of the night.
It's definitely been a good night for those drivers, especially Ryan Barbieri. Picked up some stage points a couple of times here and there. Been in the top 10 most of the night. Has he been in contention for the win? No, not necessarily, but he's done exactly what he needs to do to stay on the good side of that chase cutoff bubble tonight.
We might want to start directing our attention because Tate Lytle has started to actually eat into the gap quite a bit. He's only 1.2 tenths off now of the lead, and it's starting to gain into Jared Rexing. I don't know if he was saving or is Jared Rexing tires now taking a bad hit. But now it's 1.2 with 6 laps left to go, I believe.
Definitely has closed the gap by about a half second here in the last few laps. Still, that last lap, it was about 500s he picked up, but have to wonder if maybe he has just a little bit more left in the tank. Time is running out, but definitely trying to close the gap is Tate Lytle into 56. That time by, it was about equal between the two drivers.
Yeah, if only he could have gotten at least into like a 0.7, 0.6 range, just right about the range where the draft starts to affect your vehicle to where you can start picking up that extra little speed down the straightaways. But yeah, I think it might be a little too late, too long for Tate Lytle there.
Jared Rexing leading with now 4 laps to go here at Charlotte. On the verge of being the first 2-time winner of the season here in the Old Testament Firearms Truck Series.
Unfortunately, it looks like we spoke a little too soon about Harrison Talon, as Dustin Durr was able to get around him for 10th position. Good run for Dustin Durr. Looks to be the closest battle was them coming towards the end of this race. And other than that, everyone's a little spaced out, but overall a fairly clean race after all the interesting, exciting races we've had with the amount of cautions in the last few. So decently clean run for these guys.
Definitely a lot tamer race than our last one over on the streets of Chicago. That was probably enough fireworks to last about a month or so for us here in the Truck Series. But mostly clean and green, just the one incident-related caution thus far. 2 laps to go for Jared Rexing, as we'll see him work around the lap truck. The number 36 of Kyle Walgren. Now Jared Rexing's lead still right about 1.1 seconds over Tate Lytle.
Yeah, now he's just looking to just try to stay smooth. There's no one in front of him from here on out. It's just kind of make sure you don't get loose or lose any kind of time to him. And other than that, it looks like it's going to be an easy walk in the final lap here.
1 lap to go for Jared Rexing.
Overall, good race for him. Won both stages. Was definitely the hard charger. Was able to make passes on the outside, the inside. Hard, I believe, every single lap. And it proved to him it paid off. The drop-off wasn't severe enough to drop him back, as he's going to come around turn 4. And it's going to be our first 2-time victor in the Elite Truck Series here.
Jared Rexing taking the checkered flag at Charlotte. He had won at Bristol. Now he's won at Charlotte, the first 2-time winner of the season in the Old Testament Firearms Truck Series. Tate Lytle in second. We're going to see him pull up and probably give a celebratory door tap. Shane Terrian coming home third. Scott Crump fourth. Trey Holmes in fifth. As I'm sure we're about to see Jared Rexing come around and celebrate this victory a little bit. His fellow competitors continue to offer their acknowledgments here on the cool-down lap. A little bit of a love tap there from Trey Holmes in the 88. Ryan Barbieri there in the 46.
To note for Scott Crump, I believe that will wrap up the regular season for him. Not technically, because he just needs to, I think, start the race for next week. But looks like he'll be our regular season champion now.
Celebration time for Jared Rexing here at the infield at Charlotte Motor Speedway, taking the win. We'll take a look now at the results from tonight's race while we wait for our competitors to join the interview room. Jared Rexing taking the win. Tate Lytle second. Shane Terrian third. Scott Crump fourth. Trey Holmes in fifth. Bronson Stafford sixth. Joshua Person at seventh. Ryan Barbieri in eighth. Tom Bourne ninth. Dustin Durr rounding out the top 10. 11th place, Harrison Talon. 12th, Hunter Smith. 13th, Kendall Noah Player. 14th, Michael Goodman. Good response from him after being involved in that incident. Josh Hodges, 15th. Dylan Jones, 16th. Michael Hosick, 17th. Tyler Dixon, 18th. Daniel Martinez, 19th. Corey Abbott, in 20th. Alec Ballvans, 21st. Sam Boutwell, 22nd. Alex Gray, 23rd. Anthony Ludi, 24th. Kyle Walgren, 25th. And, of course, several of these drivers we see involved in incidents over the course of the race. Wyatt Nadel, Brent Jones, Hunter Firestone, all involved in that big accident just after the start of the third stage. They come home 26th, 27th, 28th. Mark Keeler, 29th. Sean Ryan in 30th. Chad Thornquist, for all intents and purposes, a start and park tonight. He comes home 31st. So now it looks like our winner is in the waiting room. We will bring him into the booth. Jared Rexing, first two-time winner of the season in the Old Testament Firearms Truck Series. Jared, how does it feel to pick up this win here tonight at Charlotte?
Yeah, it feels good. I didn't know I was the first repeat winner, so that's great news heading into the playoffs with the finale coming up. All these playoff points are going to matter. Crump's going to be tough, but I didn't expect to be that good tonight, to be honest. That was a good run.
Well, we saw you aggressive at Bristol. We saw what that brought you. Got you a victory there. And then tonight, it definitely looked like aggression was about the only way you could be able to actually clear someone and get the lead. Hard drafting and being able to pull up tight to them. Was that your strategy? Did you figure out a way? Because it looked like you were the only one to really get that high lane working early on, even with newer tires, and be able to carry the speed. And that's obviously what got you the lead. Was there something that you had figured out up there of the course of the run?
Yeah, I don't know. Not really. Just yeah, I ran the high line a lot in practice, and it really wasn't the way to go. But even without having to pinch the guy on the inside, just cutting off their exit was enough to at least hold it there. Tate held it for a while. I was able to hold it for a while when we were side by side. That was great racing with Tate, by the way. A lot of respect for that guy, and it was fun, and glad we could finish 1-2 cleanly. But yeah, the high line, you could really roll on new tires. It was loose for about a couple laps on cold tires, and if you just got on the outside of someone, you could fly.
Yeah, it seemed to be the case tonight. Now, next week we're going to be going on into Iowa, and I know you're pretty excited for Iowa there. That's going to wrap up our regular season, and then it goes into the chase. Do you know how you're going to try to to approach the chase? Are you going to go in trying to win and to get yourself into the next round, or is it just one of those things where you're just going to try to just find your rhythm and point your way?
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see, how many playoff points I have going in. If I have say 20, 30 playoff points going into it, then I can easily not easily. We do have stage points in this series, which is new for me, at least, my first year in trucks. So people can gain a lot of points with those stages. But if I have a big enough buffer, I can try to take it easy and not try to race too hard and make potential enemies going forward. But if you got shot at the win, you got to go for it. In my opinion, I'm always gonna go for a win if I can see it.
We hope so, because so far they've been proven to be interesting, especially at Bristol. There it was an interesting win. So hopefully we find yourself being put into a position to be aggressive, because we sure enjoy it up here. That's for sure.
Glad to hear it. It was fun tonight.
Well, if you got any shout-outs, go ahead and give us your shout-outs here.
Yeah, shout out to Racing Point Lima Umu giving me a fast truck tonight, Kendall and Alec. And shout out to my wife for watching, rooting me on, and putting up with me in this hobby of mine.
Well, congratulations on the win. Our first two-time winner here for the Truck Series, and hopefully the strong run can continue into next week as we finish off our regular season.
Appreciate it, guys.
So there you have it, Jared Rexing taking the win here at Charlotte. We did get word from Bronson Stafford, of course, part of that FRN team, that Shane Terrian not available for an interview this evening. Unfortunately, it appears his daughter is under the weather. So definitely want to send our well wishes over to the Terrian household. Definitely that time of year again where unfortunately those kind of things happen. So definitely want to send our well wishes there, and completely understand Shane not being able to join us tonight. I also do not see Tate Lytle in the waiting room, so I believe, unless we get a surprise appearance here, that's probably going to just about be a broadcast for us tonight, Gerald. Before we go, I do, of course, want to mention tomorrow night, Elite Racing Network, back again for the continuation of the first round of the playoffs as the B cars go to the Roval right here at Charlotte. Then Wednesday night, You'll see some short track racing with the Elite Cup Series at Richmond Raceway for 200 laps. And of course, big night Friday night for our open wheel fans. The Elite Richmar Florist Indianapolis 500. Of course, qualifying you saw here last Friday here on the Elite Racing Network. Big night for the IndyCar guys as they'll go for the 8th running of the virtual greatest spectacle in racing. Our next broadcast here for the Truck Series will be next week at Iowa to close out our regular season. Before we go, Gerald, like you mentioned, aggression was the key for Jared Rexing tonight. I think we're only going to see the aggression ramp up even more next week at Iowa. Yeah,
it's going to be the cutoff. It's going to be, for a lot of these guys, winning you're in. It's this kind of situation. The other ones are, like we said with the points, what Jared Rexing said, there's a lot of points to be gained. So there's a lot of movement still to be made for the end of this season, and be interesting to see how the points shape up, see where people are going to have to be, and I'm sure a lot of eyes are going to be on that little Scortron there and try to figure out what they've got to do going into Iowa. And what a fun track to do it at. What a great track for a final showdown. Mixture of a short track and a half mile, a lot of grooves and hard racing, a lot of short side by side. So be interesting. It's going to be exciting, and can't wait to do it.
We'll definitely be looking forward to it. I probably will not actually be able to make that one here in the booth, but I'm sure it will be in the capable hands of somebody in the Elite Racing Network to cover all the action from Iowa next week. Are you going to keep your perfect attendance streak going, Gerald?
Someone's going to have to keep an eye on these guys, am I right?
Well, I'm sure it will be a treat. So, on behalf of Gerald, I'm Zach. Thank you for watching tonight, and be sure to tune in all week long and next Sunday night here on the Elite Racing Network for more great racing action. Have a good night.